Hey, happy Tuesday, baseball whale lifers. How you all doing? It's two for Tuesday. Let's make it a good one. And speaking of two for Tuesdays, we're going to see Shohei doing two things, pitching and hitting today. Yes, Shohei Ohtani told manager Joe Madden he liked to be in the lineup against the Astros on Tuesday. That would mark the third time hitting for himself on the same day he pitches this season after previously never doing in the majors before this year. Ohtani has been out of the lineup in the past two starts on the mound as he was held out for precautionary reasons on Wednesday after being hit on a pitch on his right elbow 3 days prior. And on April 26th, he was dealing with a blister on his right middle finger. But he did tell Madden on Monday that he'd like to hit and pitch again on Tuesday. And he'll be in his usual number two spot in the order. And the club will not be having a designated hitter for the game. How about that? American League team without a DH because their pitcher is that good. Yeah, Madden said I've already spoke to him and he wants to do it, so we'll make adjustments with that. And Madden also explained how Ohtani has been able to manage his workload this season. He's been in the lineup for 32 of the club's 34 games, will be making his fifth start on the mound on Tuesday. He's had a few minor injuries, dealing with two blisters on his right middle finger and his elbow soreness from the hit by pitch. But Madden has been impressed by Ohtani's ability to get the work done to stay on the field. Ohtani is 26, so he's young and healthy and able to rebound quickly. And he posted a 2.41 ERA with 30 strikeouts and 19 walks and 18 and two-thirds innings this season as a pitcher. I'm sure he wants to cut down on the walks. That's a pretty high amount. But he's gotten out of trouble and did some damage control. Going into Monday, he's batting 276 with a 626 slugging percentage. So he has 10 homers, 9 doubles, and 26 RBIs in 31 games. It's arguably, you can make a good argument that he is the most feared slugger in baseball today. He's really following through on his swings at the plate and he keeps getting the ball deeper and deeper. And he's showing no signs of fatigue. So hopefully it's a good way to go for Shohei. We'll see. The Angels could use Anthony Rendon. He was taking grounders for Monday's game, and he could return against the Red Sox in Fenway Park on Friday, and that's going to be a hell of a series. I want to watch that one. But it'll be fun. It will be fun. And speaking of fun, here's another one that's going to have a lot of eyeballs on him. Jarred Kelenic. Now, as a Met fan, this one kind of hurts. I'm going to admit this one hurts. This kid looks like he's the real deal. He's the number 4 overall prospect in baseball. He was the 6th overall pick in the 2018 draft by the Mets, and he was acquired in the Diaz-Cano trade. And that one may come back to haunt the Metsies. And the beautiful thing about Kelenic is he drives the ball to all fields. And he's a physical specimen. He's got a body for baseball. And he's fast. So it'll be interesting to see him. It may be time for Kelenic. He's only 21. But in 5 games at Tacoma this year, he was 9 for 22. And he hit 2 majestic home runs on opening day last Thursday, along with 5 RBIs and 6 runs scored so far. And he was tearing it up in spring training, or the Cactus League, as they like to call it. He was batting 300 with a 700 slugging percentage. And it's going to be a big deal in Seattle. They've been craving to see him now for over a year. He was the Mariners minor league player of the year in 2019. And that's when he played with Double-A Arkansas. And he's the headline prospect in DePoto's extensive rebuild, which is in year 3. And the Mariners could be emerging as contenders in the near future, and Kelenic will be one of the major reasons why. The Mets were very high. Why I don't know. I don't even want to go back to why the Mets got rid of him. I think it was a Cano deal, and you know who his agent used to be, Brody Van Wagenen. So that one smelled from the get-go. But Kelenic's here. He's probably going to take the roster spot of left fielder Taylor Trammell, who played pretty well. Seattle got off to a good start, but not many people were expecting Seattle to do too much damage this year. And after that 11-6 start, they're 7-11, and they're third place in the American League West, 2.5 games behind the A's. So maybe it's a jump start for the Mariners. They kind of did the same thing with Kyle Lewis last year. So we'll see. Julio Rodriguez is the next guy, and you'll probably see him next year. He's the number 5 prospect in baseball. But they're going to wait on him, and he's loaded with 40-plus homer potential. And he's just right now playing in the minors with High A Everett. So him and Kelenic and Lewis, that could form an outfield that we'll be talking about for years to come. And that'll be fun if that does transpire. And you know what else was fun? I don't know if you guys got to see the Reds Pirates standoff yesterday. That was pretty funny yesterday. Long after the national anthem had been sung, Pirates reliever Luis Oviedo and Reds catcher Alex Blandino remained stationed outside their respective dugouts, hand over heart, unwilling to budge. Oviedo cracked a smile from time to time, while Blandino seemed undeterred by anything going on around him. And Pirates announcer said, "I cannot tell you how much they support the United States of America." Now, the pledge-off lasted past Pirates starter Mitch Keller's warm-up pitchers and even continued as Reds second baseman Nick Senzel stepped to the plate. By that time, home plate umpire Chris Conroy had caught on, waving his hands and saying, "Let's go. The game's got to start. Let's go." So it was a classic moment. I saw one in hockey this year, too, after the warm-ups at a New York Ranger game, and the opposing player were going at it. So it's pretty comical. You don't want to see it every day, but when it does happen, it's funny. But Oviedo, a Rule 5 draft pick, took his 5 fingers from his heart first after giving a look back to the Pirates dugout with another parting grin. He then departed, leaving Blandino with the victory, and the Reds went on to win in a 14-1 rout. So maybe the Pirates shouldn't have given Standoff with the standoff. Back in 2016, there was another standoff. Hernan Iberian overcame Manny Pena in this standoff. So that's the second time it's happened. It's fun. It's something to talk about. Keep it lighthearted, right, kids? And speaking of fun, if you're a Yankee fan, you got to be digging Giancarlo Stan. Not only is he playing well, he's gotten off to one of the best starts of his career, and he is playing like the Yankees actually envisioned him when he was the NL MVP in 2017. Coming into this year, he hit 266 and slugged 507 his first 3 seasons as a Yankee. But he's only played 199 games in that time span. His best stretch in Yankee uniform had arguably been the team's 7-game postseason run last year when he homered in his first 5 games and hit 308 overall with a whopping 1,038 slugging percentage. And this year, his production is pretty close mirrored what he did with the Marlins, especially in that final year in Florida when he won MVP by leading the majors with 59 homers and an NL leading 631 slugging percentage. His batting average is .292, is the best in the first 30 games of the season in his career, and his OPS of .914 is second on that list, only the 2014 season when he finished second for NL MVP, and that ended due to a hit by pitch in September. He's had 2 overlapping 15-game stretches in the middle of April. He hit .413 or better, both of which are within the top 10 best such spans of his career. The other 8 on the list, none occurred in Yankee uniforms, and they were all in the years before the trade, 2010, 14, and 17. But Giancarlo is healthy, and you can see what a healthy Giancarlo can do. He's definitely seeing more pitches in the zone, and he's feasting. He's not fishing for a ball, and that is huge. And he's crushing the pitches that are in his zone. He's swinging at 47.8 pitches he's seen. And they're pitching him. They're going to have to start pitching him more carefully, I guess. He's pulled the ball 55.1% of the time. That's the highest rate of his career. That was 2020, I should say. In 2021, he's hitting the ball all over the park, 31.8% pull rate, 43.5% of his batted balls going straight away, and 24.7% the opposite field, So when he's using the whole field, he's hitting the ball. And anytime a guy who crushes the ball like Stan can use the whole field, you know he's going to put up numbers because you can't defend that. His barrel rate is amazing, and we all know about his exit velocity. So it's good to see Giancarlo coming through big time. For those of you who love sluggers, we're all fans of Albert Pujols, and it's going to be interesting to see what unfolds for Albert. Where will he go? It's been nearly a week since he was released by the Angels. Kind of an unceremonious end for the inner-tier superstar. And really, it's been nothing but quiet since he left the Angels. Nothing from teams saying they don't have space for him, except for the White Sox, saying they're opting out, and Yermin Mercedes said that. But really, no one said anything. So what's going on? Is he wanting to move on from the Angels? He's negotiating. He's waiting to see what might pop up. Who knows? But he wasn't going to get the time in Anaheim, that's for sure. But you should note that he did have an 878 OPS against lefties this year. So some of the teams that could use something like that is the Indians, maybe. They can get some help from the right-hand side of the plate. You have Pujols and Bowers platoon at first base. Maybe he DH a few times. How about the Nationals? They're in last place, and maybe they need a jump start. It's possible that Nationals may end up being sellers, so at the trade deadline. So maybe it's not the move to get him. But if you want to make a move, a push, you might want to sign him now because Josh Bell struggled against lefties throughout his career, and he's struggled a little bit this year. Like I said, they may need a jolt. And who knows? He could be a good influence on Juan Soto, maybe a mentor or something. But that's two teams that you might want to consider him. And I know the White Sox have said they're out. But you never know. White Sox could be in it to win it. A nice little bat like Pujols coming up against lefties might help. Pujols, he went to community college in Kansas City. Obvious ties to the state of Missouri. Why not play in the other league in Missouri, the Royals? After all, he was a former teammate of Mike Matheny. And he did bring sensibility and to both the franchise and ownership group. So it could come full circle. Maybe he starts in Missouri, ends in Missouri. Go with it. Or better yet, why not just return to the Cardinals? What a better way for the Cardinals to send him off than to finish his career with the Cardinals. Be back with Wainwright, Molina, be like old times, give it one last run. May not be the perfect fit, but he's still a valid bat, coming off the bench, and he can help out. So you never know. You never say never. Now, the other thing I want to touch upon today is some players who have been flying under the radar this year. Some really good players. Let's go with Cole Irvin. In 7 starts this year, the 27-year-old has a 3.29 ERA and a 1.07 WHIP. And his 6.2 strikeout to walk ratio is in the top 10 among qualified pitchers in the major leagues. Now, it's guys like Cole Irvin who keep the A's contenders year after year. And it's funny because Irvin had a 6.7 ERA, 45 2/3 big league innings for the Phillies the last 2 seasons. So he's been a pleasant find. And how about Nate Lowe? I don't think Tampa Bay saw what was happening with Nate Lowe this year happening with them. And but he is producing big time with the Rangers. He's batting .287 with a .478 OPS. And now he's a permanent fixture on that Rangers team. So good to see Nate Lowe coming through. Now, you're probably wondering how the Giants are on the top in the NLS at this stage of the season. And you might want to start with Anthony DeSclafani. He had a disappointing 2020 with the Reds. 7.22 ERA in 33 2/3 innings. But he has a 2.40 ERA and a 0.94 WHIP. and 3.6 strikeout to walk ratio in seven starts and 41 and third innings for Frisco. And he's held right-handed batters to a 428 OPS. Now, how about we skip to Cincinnati? Tyler Naquin. The Reds picked him off the scrap heap, and he's actually helped them manage early season injuries of others. He's batted .278 with a .578 OPS after going 2 for 5 with a double homer and 4 RBIs on Monday. And his 8 home runs are already more than half as many as hit in that promising 2016 campaign that he had. How about Jake Marisnick? Jake is a good ball player, but he has suffered a right hamstring injury. And it's kind of hurt him a little bit, but he's always a good utility player. But we'll see what happens with him. And so far in 27 games and 60 plate appearances, he has a .350 on-base percentage and .623 slugging percentage. C.J. Cron's another one, unfortunately landed on the 10-day disabled list. He was batting .359 with a .625 OPS. And his league-adjusted OPS of 134 plus is 22 points higher than his career norm. So that's quite a jump. And how about Matt Harvey, the Dark Knight? He's making it a happy Harvey day again for the Orioles. I couldn't understand why the Orioles signed him. I said, well, maybe I'll give him a chance since the Orioles weren't going anywhere. But he's been solid with the Orioles. He's at 3.60 ERA and a 1.19 ERA plus in 7 starts. Now, some of it may be smoke and mirrors. He doesn't throw as hard as he once did, but he's turned himself into a decent pitcher. Instead of a hard throw, he's turned himself a decent pitcher. And if the O's are going nowhere, maybe they'll end up trading him to get a little something back. How about Tyler Anderson with the Pirates? No one really knows about him because no one's really talking about the Pirates. But he has a 3.05 ERA, 1.35 ERA plus, and 1.04 WHIP through 41 and third innings. He doesn't really have overpowering stuff, but even his strikeout rate has jumped from 15.8% to 22.6%. That's huge. And then another pitcher, Jose Urena, another team that's really not having a good start, but he's pitched well. He's got a 2.68 ERA over 37 innings in his past 6 starts. Advanced metrics really didn't speak well for Urena coming to the season. Expected ERA was 4.70, but so far he's been the bright spot in a dreary season for the Tigers. And then Tyler Chatwood. Phillies have found a nice find in certain players, but Tyler Chatwood, he's been doing okay. He had a rough 3 years with the Cubs, and he thrived full-time in a relief role with Toronto. And to date, he has a 1 run allowed and 15 strikeouts and 3 walks in 11 and third. So he's doing well with the Blue Jays. So he's one of those relievers that's found himself again. That's always good to see. And now with the minor league season starting, we can really focus, and that's good to say with the minor league season starting, isn't it, folks? We can look at the hot prospects in baseball who have taken off so far this year. One of them is Francisco Alvarez, a catcher. The Mets are very high on him, and he hit on 4 straight games and went 4-5 with a pair of RBIs and a double the other day. Another one is Miguel Toglia, Spokane Indians, Rockies number 3 prospect. He's got an 889 OPS. Trevor Hauver for Tampa Tarpoons, Yankees low A. He's got a 1,611 OPS. Brett Beatty from the Brooklyn Cyclones. Mets think very highly of him, and he's gotten off to a 462 batting average with a 692 OPS. And Ronnie Mauricio, the Mets are very, very high on him. He's the Mets number 2 prospect and number 56 in baseball altogether. So maybe they'll have to rethink this whole Lindor signing if he keeps playing like this. But he's batting .368 with an 895 OPS. Vidal Brujan with the Durham Bulls. He's got a 1,000 OPS, and he's the Rays' number 2 pick prospect and number 41 in baseball altogether. Heliot Ramos, Richmond Flying Squirrels, the Giants' number 3, MLB number 70 pick. He's doing very, very well. He's got an 857 OPS, 8 runs scored, 5 RBIs in 6 games. Jesus Sanchez with the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp. You know what? Sometimes I just like saying these names. They're fun to say. He's got a 1,074 OPS. He's got 3 homers and 12 RBIs in just 6 games with 6 runs scored. So he's doing well. There's a whole bunch of other players doing very, very well. So the minors are looking good. What's not looking good are some of the players that have been injured so far in baseball this year. We unfortunately could add C.J. Cron to the injury list. He's out for 10 days with a lower back strain. He ended the weekend waiting period, which started when the first baseman was scratched from the lineup last Friday. His replacement on the IL is retroactive to May 7th. He was batting .290 with 5 home runs prior to this. Jacob deGrom went on the IL. He'll miss a start, and he'll be out for 10 days. Jake Marisnick and Jake Arrieta were injured in the game against the Pirates at Wrigley Field. We'll see how they turn out. And the bad news for the Buccos is Cabron Hayes has been transferred from the 10-day injury list to the 60-day IL. The move was made because the club foresees recovery from the injury followed by further build-up work and then a rehab assignment. Koei Ariara with the Rangers placed on a 10-day injured list Sunday due to a contusion on his right middle finger. The Rays put Kevin Kiermaier on the 10-day injured list with a sprained left wrist. And unfortunately, like I said, a lot of this is going to be happening due to the fact that we didn't play 162 last year. And you hope these guys don't get hurt all season long like this, because it's always better when everybody's healthy and it's more fun and better for the game. Now with Jared Kelenic making his debut today, or possible debut today, it's always good to look back at some of the great debuts, anticipated debuts in baseball. The last one, if you remember, was probably Vladimir Guerrero, April 26, 2019. And a few players at that point had performed better, generated more hype in the minor leagues than Guerrero. He really wasn't known for his defense at third base, but they put him at third. He started 0 for 3 at the plate. But he came through an opposite field double in the top of the ninth that set up Brandon Drury's walk-off 2-run homer in his debut. Ronald Acuna, April 28, 2018, his debut. He was the second-ranked prospect behind Shohei Ohtani, but his arrival came with just as much excitement from Atlanta fans who had seen the 20-year-old tear up the minor league pitching. The 5-tool prospect began the season with the AAA Gwinnett before getting his call for a road game in Cincinnati, where he singled, shut off his blazing speed, going from first to third, and scored a tying run in the Rays' 5-4 win. And speaking of 2018 debuts, how about Shohei Ohtani? He was perhaps a story of the 2018 regular season thanks to his incredible two-way athletic ability. And he was someone who could reach triple digits off a pitching mound, hit majestic homers at the plate. It was hard to create a more compelling narrative. He singled in his first major league at bat on opening day and then struck out 6 in his opening MLB start 2 days later before going on to capture the AL Rookie of the Year honors. How about the hype of Chris Bryant, April 17, 2015? He ripped up AAA with a 1,036 OPA with Iowa in 2014. But the Cubbies started Mike Alt as their starting third baseman. And that was due to service time. They were trying to get an extra year out of him. But on his debut on April 17th, he went 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts while debuting in front of the Wrigley faithful. But he did finish the year with 26 homers, 99 RBIs in the Rookie of the Year campaign. And with Bryant in the heart of the lineup, the Cubs made their first trip to the NLCS in 12 years and then captured their first World Series title in 108 years the following autumn. Bryce Harper, what a hype job that was. He was the SI cover story, tales of 500-foot homers in comparisons to the great Mickey Mantle. Those were kind of the things accompanying Harper on his way to Dodger Stadium, where he made his debut at just 19 years of age. about a year and a half after the Nationals selected him with the number 1 overall draft pick. Harper hit a standout double to the wall in the top of the 7th, also made an impressive throw to home to show off his tools, and then he went on to capture Rookie of the Year honors, one of the best teenage seasons in history. How about Yu Darvish, April 9, 2012? Rangers bid more than $1 million just to land the rights to negotiate with Darvish before signing the Japanese phenom to a 6-year, $60 million deal. Darvish had already shown in the WBC, and he showed that he can be at the highest level. And through his debut, and though his debut against Seattle was rocky that day, April 9th, he gave 5 earned runs, 4 walks over 5 2/3 innings. The righty quickly proved his talent by finishing the 2012 season with 221 strikeouts. How about Aroldis Chapman? Everyone was anticipating his big debut. And why? The radar gun. He had a defector from Cuba with dreams of showcasing his triple-digit fastball on the game's biggest stage, and he did that immediately by hitting 102 miles per hour during a clean inning against the Padres to a standing ovation in Cincinnati. The Cuban missile hit 103.9 the following night, and a velocity legend was off and running. How about Steven Strasburg? June 9, 2010. That one was huge. And a lot of people think he still may be the most hyped prospect of modern times. His minor league starts were receiving as much fanfare as major league action. He had a blazing triple-digit fastball, and he worked his way up the ranks, stoking the hype from his time at San Diego State University, where he was labeled by some as the best amateur pitcher ever. And it's extraordinary to think that Strasburg was once a non-prospect with a high 80s fastball as a high schooler, especially after he struck out 14 Pirates hitters, including the last 7 batters he faced in one of the most electric debuts of all time. Jason Hayward, April 5th, 2010. Hayward began the Braves home opener by catching a ceremonial first pitch from Hank Aaron, then he homered off Cubs ace Carlos Zambrano in his first big league at-bat as Atlanta routed Chicago. Hayward, Atlanta native, was already a sensation before he stepped at the plate. One swing, he quickly proved that he belonged. And then how about David Price, September 14, 2008? The Rays were already on their way to a rather surprising AL East division title when they announced that Price, the number 1 overall draft pick from the year prior, was ready to make his big league debut. That debut came at a place that you want to make a debut at, Yankee Stadium, the old Yankee Stadium, before it shut down. And he impressed with 5 1/3 innings of 2-run ball on 3 hits while striking out 4. He went on to pick up a win and a save in the ACLS against the defending World Series champion Red Sox at just 23 years of age. How about Daisuke Matsuzaka, the MVP of the first 2 World Baseball Classics with Team Japan, set off one of the most intense bidding wars in baseball history. Everyone ended with the Red Sox as the winners. First, after bidding more than $51 million during the negotiating rights and then signing to the pitcher to a 6-year, $52 million contract. His first big league start against Kansas City included 10 strikeouts, and he finished with a first campaign of 15 wins and 4.40 ERA before helping Boston win its 2nd title in 4 years. Remember Mark Pryor? Injuries eventually became the story of Pryor's career, but there's no denying how talented he was while winning with 3 separate Players of the Year's awards at USC, inspiring the Cubs to take him with the number 2 overall pick. Pryor needed just 9 minor league starts, 51 innings, before debuting with Chicago against Pittsburgh, striking out 10 Pirates hitters while in 2 runs over 6 innings in front of a pumped-up crowd at Wrigley Field. How about Ichiro? April 2nd, 2001. Ichiro in Japan. His exploits spoke volumes. 3 Pacific League MVP awards, 7 batting titles, and 7 Gold Glove awards, along with numerous other accolades. Ichiro still had skeptics to overcome, including his own manager, Lou Piniella, as the first Japanese position player to play overseas in America. That skepticism didn't last long, as Ichiro's rookie campaign, which netted him the AL MVP award also, ranks among the absolute best in Major League history. It all began April 2nd against the A's at Safeco Park, where Ichiro went 2 for 5 in a 5-4 Mariners win. How about Andrew Jones, April 15th, 1996? Atlanta was well on the way defending its World Series title with a 7-game lead in the NL East when it called up its 19-year-old center fielder. General manager John Sherholtz actually traded outfielder Mark Whiten to Seattle in part to make room for the game's top prospect, who had hit .339 with 34 homers across 3 levels in the minors over the summer of 1996. Jones got a hit while batting second between Marquis Grissom and Chipper Jones in his debut at Philadelphia Veterans Stadium, and later that fall he became the youngest player to homer in the World Series. Now let's talk about A-Rod. His Mariner debut, MLB debut, July 8th, 1994. Some say A-Rod might have been the most complete prospect of the modern era, mixing major league ready talent at the plate with speed on the bases and athleticism at shortstop. His first MLB game came at Fenway Park, a place where he would become notorious in later days as a Yankee star. He did go 0 for 3 in that game, and Rodriguez became one of the American League best players by 1996, when he finished runner-up in league MVP voting. And a lot of interest around Jim Abbott's debut with the Angels, April 8th, 1989. And that really had as much to do about his talent as the fact that he was born without the use of a right hand. He was a top collegiate pitcher at Michigan and pitched Team USA to a gold medal in the '88 Olympics before signing with the Angels for $200,000. Then he bypassed the minors altogether, becoming just the 17th player in the draft year to make his professional debut in the major leagues. Abbott took the loss after allowing 6 runs, 3 earned to the Mariners in that debut. But he finished the year third in Rookie of the Year voting after compiling a 3.92 ERA in 29 starts. How can we forget about Ken Griffey Jr.? We can't. Griffey might be that other contender alongside A-Rod for the best prospect to come along before Guerrero. Expectations were sky high after the son of an all-star outfielder who grew up in the clubhouse as a Big Red Machine was taken number 1 overall by Seattle in the '87 MLB draft. He was the youngest position player to debut in over a decade when he took the field against the defending AL champion A's on opening day in Oakland. Griffey doubled off Dave Stewart in his first big league at bat, and he went on to finish third in the AL Rookie of the Year voting after hitting 16 homers and driving in 61. Who remembers Greg Jeffries? A lot of hype revolving around Greg Jeffries, that's for sure. The Mets had just come off their big '86 season, and even Davey Johnson, Met manager at the time, said, Jeffries could hit 300 standing on his head, and those were the expectations for the California native after the Mets drafted him 20th overall in 1985. How good was Jeffries in the minors? Well, he was the first 2-time winner of Baseball America's Minor League Player of the Year award, and he graced the publication's cover 5 times before he reached the big leagues, thanks in large part to his .353 batting average, .401 on base, and .549 slugging slash line across Class A and Double A in '86. The Mets brought Jeffries up from Double A just 36 days after his 20th birthday. But he did find the majority of his success, including 2 All-Star seasons later with the Cardinals and Phillies. And how about Bo Jackson? Bo Jackson ranks among the greatest athletes in professional sports, period. And he spurned the Yankees after they drafted him in '82 to play football and baseball at Auburn University. In '85, he won the Heisman Trophy as the nation's best collegiate player on the gridiron, and then refused to play for the NFL Tampa Bay Buccaneers because he felt they tried to derail his baseball career. The Royals seized the opportunity and drafted him in the 4th round of the '86 draft, and he honors a commitment to Kansas City by suiting up for the club that summer. Jackson got his first hit off a 41-year-old White Sox pitcher, Steve Carlin, the future Hall of Famer, who was nearing the end of his career. Jackson went on to play both baseball and football professionally, of course, and became one of the most famous athletes in the history of North American sports. And how about Dwight Doc Gooden? Gooden needed less than 2 seasons in the minors before the Mets felt he and his unbelievable stuff were ready for the big league hitters. Doc climbed the mound at the Astrodome for his debut at just 19 years and 143 days of age and let his high 90s fastball and a world-class curveball go to work, striking out 5 Houston hitters over 5 one-run innings. His rookie campaign only got better from there, of course, as Gooden finished the year with 17 wins and a freshman record 276 strikeouts. And he debuted on April 7th, 1984. How about Darryl Strawberry? May 6th, 1983. Yeah, Met fans were hoping the Straw, the number 1 overall pick in the '80 draft from Crenshaw High in Los Angeles, would lift their team out of the NL doldrums. And Strawberry's debut did ignite a slow turnaround in Queens. Straw was 21 when he debuted at Chase Stadium, drew 2 walks, and scored a run in New York's 13-inning win over the Reds. He went on to win NL Rookie of the Year honors with a 26-homer campaign for blossoming into one of the league's most fearsome sluggers of the decade. Who remembers David Clyde? Clyde's high school record in the suburbs of Houston was about as sterling as it could be, as the lefty went 18-0 with 5 no-hitters during his senior year. That prompted the 100-loss Rangers to take Clyde with the top overall draft pick in 1973 draft, ahead of Robin Yount and Dave Winfield. Then they called him up to the major leagues at age 18. Clyde requested uniform number 32 in honor of Sandy Koufax and received an encouraging telegram from the legendary ace, and all that hype was enough to pack in 32,000 fans at Arlington Stadium. That's where the comparisons to Koufax would end, however, as Clyde pitched in parts of just 5 major league seasons, finished 18-33 with a 4.63 ERA. And how about the first of 2 big debuts in 1951? Willie Mays, May 25th, 1951. Get this, Mays had a .477 average, a AAA hitter among AAA hitters, and that was more than 100 points higher than any other AAA hitter when the 5th-place Giants announced that they were calling their prodigious center fielder up to the big league club. Mays' arrival attracted hordes of African-American fans who didn't typically attend games at Philadelphia Shibe Park. His pregame practice session drew plenty of eyes, both for his prowess in the cage and his grace tracking down fly balls in the outfield. Giants manager Leo DeRocher put Mays right in the 3rd spot in the batting order, but the say-hey kid would go hitless in his first 12 at-bats for homering off the great Warren Spahn to get his incredible career going. Who else debuted in 51? Yes, Mickey Mantle. When it comes to mythical, sent from the heavens baseball prodigies, the conversation probably should begin with Mantle. He was born the son of a miner in Oklahoma. Mantle rose from obscurity to become the natural heir to Babe Ruth, Lou Gehrig, and Joe DiMaggio in the eyes of Yankee fans, thanks to his natural speed and, of course, his neck-craning tape measure home runs. He nearly quit baseball in 51 after suffering through a slump, but after a tough discussion with his father, Mutt, he went on a tear with AAA Kansas City, finishing his tenure there with a .361 average, 11 homers, and 166 at-bats. The Comet debuted with a ton of fanfare against the Red Sox in Yankee Stadium, batted 3rd between legends Phil Rizzuto and Joe DiMaggio. He had an RBI single and came around to score in the bottom of 6th, and one of baseball's most revered careers was underway. How about Satchel Paige? August 3rd, 1948. Satch was already established in the Negro Leagues, of course, but he had to wait more than 2 decades before he could display his talent in the majors. Paige was arguably the most famous pitcher in America when the Indians owner Bill Veeck signed him at age 41 to help his club capture a pennant. And the legend proved that age was just a number by going 6-1 with a 2.48 ERA. Down the stretch, Paige's big league debut brought in 72,000 fans to set an attendance record for a night game, and he survived a pair of runs allowed in the first to lead Cleveland to a 5-3 win over St. Louis Browns. And then, talk about atmosphere surrounding a debut. Let's talk Jackie Robinson, April 15th, 1947. The atmosphere surrounding Robinson's debut was wholly unlike that of any other player on this list, as he broke Major League's color barrier. The significance of those circumstances made Robinson's debut one of the most famous in modern American history, let alone baseball's, and it opened the door for thousands of African-American players, including Paige, to follow in his footsteps. Robinson reached on a throwing error in the 7th and came around to score in the first game at Ebbets Field, but he would have to endure much more vocal abuse once he and his Dodger teammates hit the road. Robinson persevered anyway, capturing MLB's first Rookie of the Year award and compiling a Hall of Fame career. MLB now honors the great Jackie Robinson's debut with a league-wide celebration every April 15th, and that's good. How about Bob Feller, Rapid Robert, July 19th, 1936. Feller's friends in Van Meter, Ohio were working summer jobs before their senior year as a high school when the 17-year-old came on in the 8th inning of the Indians' 9-5 loss to Senators in Washington, D.C. His ML debut included a strikeout, of course, as he worked around a pair of walks for a clean frame, but he really got people's attention the first big league start about 1 month later. That's when Rapid Robert struck out 15 Brown hitters and began his tenure as baseball's most dominant strikeout ace. How about Joltin' Joe DiMaggio? Yes. Joe made his debut on May 3rd, 1936. And like Mickey Mantle, he came from humble beginnings and was the son of Italian immigrants in the San Francisco area. Baseball was a way for DiMaggio to escape his father's profession as a fisherman. He used that motivation to make a name for himself in the PCL, compiling a 61-game hitting streak with the San Francisco Seals. A career-threatening knee injury for DiMaggio didn't dissuade Yankee scout Bill Essick from signing the kid to a $50,000 contract, and he debuted ahead of Lou Gehrig in the Yankees lineup at 21 years of age. The rest was history. And the last one we want to talk about is Rube McCard of the Giants, September 25th, 1908. I don't think many of us remember that one. If you do, then God bless you. But McCard deserves mention after an auction for his services caused a bidding war between 10 major league clubs, with the Giants coming out on top at $11,000, an enormous amount of money for that time period. That earned McCard the distinction of the $11,000 beauty, and Giants manager John McGraw put him right in the middle of the pennant race with his debut coming just 2 days after Fred Merkle's famous miscue against the Cubs. McCard might not have been ready for the moment as he allowed 5 runs in 5 innings, but in the tutelage of baseball legend Christy Mathewson, he turned things around and become a Hall of Famer. So a lot of great debuts in Major League Baseball history, and I think we kind of covered the ones that really stand out. And we'll jump from debuts to the MLB standings. AL East, we have Boston still in first place, 3 games ahead of the Yankees. The Yankees and Tampa Bay would be in a virtual tie for the wild card spot, and they're in second and third place respectively. The White Sox are a game ahead of Cleveland in the AL Central. Oakland's 2.5 games ahead of the Houston Astros in the AL West. In the National League, we have the New York Mets in first place, 1 game ahead of Philly. We have St. Louis in first place, 2 games ahead of Milwaukee, who would qualify for a wild card at this point. And we have the Giants in first place in the NL West, 2 games ahead of the Padres, who would qualify for a wild card. Now, looking ahead to today's action, we do have one afternoon game, Rangers 18-19 against the Giants 21-14. That'll be in Frisco. So if you want to catch a little late afternoon baseball here on the East Coast, there's your option. Some of the matchups that are of note, good interdivision battle between the Phillies and Nationals, starting off in Washington. Shane Bieber goes for the Indians tonight. The Cubs visit Cleveland. That's always good when Shane pitches. Fun stuff. Matthew Boyd, who's actually pitched well for the Tigers, even though they're struggling and going against Kansas City's hot prospect, Singer. Good matchup there. Good pitchers, pitching for teams that want to make their mark. John Means, is he going to mean business today with the Orioles? He's going against the Mets. Marcus Stroman today. That should be fun. Tomorrow, Matt Harvey comes to pitch for Orioles there. A's and Red Sox, that's going to be a good series. Bass against Eovaldi tonight. That's in Boston. 2 division leaders going at it. Yankees and Rays, always fun rivalry. That's in Tampa Bay. That game's going to be on ESPN if you want national coverage. Blue Jays at the Braves, Cardinals at the Brewers. Astros and Angels square off. Angels visiting Houston. Nice pitching matchup. Lance McCullers Jr. against Shohei Ohtani. The Twins trying to make up some ground with the White Sox. Invade Chicago. Maeda going for the Twins. He needs to start getting a little bit better. He's 2-2 with a 5.02 ERA against Dylan Cease, who's been a nice find for the White Sox this year. 2-0, 2.37 ERA. Wilson Lamet comes back for the Padres. They invade Colorado. Colorado's starting to fall apart quick. Got to save that season. Marlins facing the D-backs in Arizona. Mad Bum going for Arizona. And Bueller. Did someone say Bueller? Here's a funny one. Both teams were 18-17 going against each other today. Mariners and Dodgers. Who would have thought that? Bueller 1-0, 3.13 ERA going for the Dodgers. Well, that wraps up our broadcast today. Hope you guys enjoyed it. It's going to be a fun day of baseball. As always, I want to thank you for your support on this YouTube cast. It really means a lot. You guys are really supporting it well. If you ever want to reach out to me, reach me at philstan41@gmail.com. And if you're not a member to the baseball group, Baseball Way of Life, which is why we do this video to compliment the group, join it at Facebook. We're almost 10,000 strong. And if you hadn't subscribed to this YouTube cast, just click below subscribe and you'll get updated every time we do one. We try to do one, at least one a day, and sometimes more. But we always try to give updates once a day, and that's what this is. So thank you again for watching. We'll touch base soon. Enjoy the day. Enjoy the baseball. And again, thanks for all your support.